Hello, and welcome to our podcast, SafeR Journeys, a podcast dedicated to raising children, ending violence, and ending oppression. I am one of your co-hosts, Heather, here at Safe Journeys in Central Illinois.
And I am Melissa, the Community Engagement Director with our prevention team here at Safe Journeys. And we are here in our bonus episode. We are so excited to be back between our season 1 and season 2. And right out of the gate, we just want to give a trigger warning for the topics we are about to talk about here. We are talking about topics of trauma and sexual violence and domestic violence, just to give you a heads up.
Yeah, and I will talk a little bit about our guest, but do you want to just give like a quick, who are we talking to today? And because we made a special episode just to talk to this person.
We did. So we are talking to Jayneen Sanders, and we are so excited because we actually use Jayneen's books in our classrooms that we go into to talk about body safety and trusted adults and things like that. And so we are so excited. Like, one of our favorite books by our prevention team is Some Secrets Should Never Be Kept. And this is the author. And so we are beyond excited to connect with Jayneen today.
Yes, we are absolutely excited. Let me tell you just a quick little bit about Jayneen. She is a mom of 3 kids. She lives in Australia, so she is actually a day ahead of us in filming. We're filming this on a Thursday evening, and she's going to be on a Friday morning, which is super wild to me.
I love that.
I do too, but it's so weird. So she lives in Australia. She used to be a school teacher at one point, and she was also a school counselor at one point. And she has written over 120 stories for kids all about empowerment in a variety of different ways, like feelings, consent, families, body parts, all sorts of cool stuff.
Yeah, I think that really is a testament to, there are so many ways in which to share this information with kiddos.
Yeah.
You can find stories upon stories, and you can create it. Like, you're never going to run out of ways to connect these important concepts to the kids, like relate to them.
Yeah, she even... And to be fair, I don't know if Jayneen wrote the song, but she has a little body safety song as well. There's so many things she puts out to accompany all of her publications. She's got posters and worksheets and discussion guides.
Yes.
So you can tell she's a teacher.
Absolutely.
Because she's giving teachers all those good resources.
Yes. It's something they can just bring out and like their little lesson plan.
Yeah.
And
so she has them for free, a bunch of them, which to me is just like makes my heart swell, because she clearly knows how powerful this work is.
Yes. Absolutely. So we are so excited to share with you this interview from August 3rd, 2023.
Yeah, let's meet Jayneen. First, I've got to tell you, we both have like a quick little tidbit about our lives and your books in particular.
Yes.
Okay. I have he's 3 now, a 3-year-old nephew named Max, and he only gets books from me for his presents, and they're always, diversity books. And we just got him, or I got him, your little Big Chats book about consent. And he has been walking around the house going, my body belongs to me. This is Maxie's body, and Maxie's body belongs to Maxie. So he's like stoked about it. I was worried that I was going to be the lame aunt because I didn't get him the Buzz Lightyear costume. But turns out he likes your book just as much as his Buzz Lightyear costume.
Well, when they're given a voice, they feel empowered, they feel bigger. So that's really important. We need to listen to that, don't we?
Oh, yeah. No, he's, my sister's been so great. She's like, I need all your information on what to do. So it's been really wonderful getting to help him along on that journey.
And I wanted to share a story from one of our preventionists. She goes into classrooms and she'll talk with kids, and she lets them pick the book that they're going to hear about for, like, when we're talking about never keep secrets and the touching rule, when we're like really trying to solidify that with them. And the kids, like, out of all their choices, they keep choosing Some Secrets Should Never Be Kept. And that one goes so well in the classroom. Yeah. It does.
Wow.
Yeah.
Who would have thought? Because when I started that book, nobody wanted to know about it. So that was,
Really?
I wrote that book, I think, in 2010. We could not find a publisher. And I have been in both a teacher and a publisher in educational publishing. We went to 3 publishers. Nobody wanted to know about that book. I even went into, so we actually decided to take out a loan, and we thought it was too important. So we published the book.
Oh, wow.
And I actually went to 3 illustrators before one was comfortable with it. And he was amazing. And I'm so lucky he illustrated the book. But I even went to a kindergarten with the book, all proud, I've done this book myself. And she told me, get out of here with that book. So haven't times changed? And I mean, the thing is about Some Secrets, it's a fairy tale.
It is.
It's age appropriate. There's nothing graphic.
Yep.
And for a child who's never been sexually abused, it's just another book. And I feel really sorry for the little boy that he can't say, tell his mum.
Yeah.
But for a child who has been abused, you will probably get a disclosure.
Yeah.
In my experience, you'll probably get a disclosure. I remember reading that book to a class of probably about 37-year-olds, and there were 2 little girls. One started crying hysterically, and another little girl near her started crying. And I asked another teacher to take them away and just put them up the back. Turns out they are next door neighbours, but they didn't say anything. There wasn't a disclosure at that time, so we told the parent, and she said, "Oh, they're just silly. Nothing's going on."
Man, that.
So and the other thing about that book is, we also did a version for the New South Wales government, like a lot of social workers who go out to homes, and where they suspected abuse, they would read this book to the family and to the child. So
wow.
I think we printed
really
about
nice.
2,000 to go out into kits for them.
That's very cool.
So it is wonderful that they feel comfortable to just go choose that book to read.
Yeah. And it's so accessible, because it's a fairy tale story. I think that teachers are way more willing for us to read a story like that and do the discussion guide. And we are in the process of training our educators in one of our counties to meet their prevention education mandates themselves, and we'll provide them consultation resources. Maybe we'll come in for one presentation, but I think this makes it doable for them too, the way that you've set these books up with the discussion guide in the back. And they're going to be hitting on some very important things just by reading this one book.
Yeah, we're like, you can read this one book and cover all of your prevention education mandates. It's like, and then of course follow it up with discussion, things of that nature.
And I mean, that was obvious to me, that if I was going to write a book about sexual abuse prevention, which we now call body safety, that it had to be timeless. So I want this book to still be being read to children in many years from now. Hopefully they don't need it as much, but in many years from now. So how do you do that? You do it through a fairy tale, because they're kind of timeless. And plus, it also removes the child from the reality of what the abuse might be. It's happening to that little boy in a faraway land. And so when I had written the book, and I see one of your questions was, how did it come about? Well, I'll tell you the backstory. Having been a teacher and also being in publishing, many years ago when I was only about 25, I edited a book called Keeping Children Safe by Dr. Frida Briggs. And I thought, wow, holy moly, this book is amazing. If ever I have children, which I did have 3 children, I'm going to teach them this stuff. This is really empowering. I'm going to do this. So I did. So then when they were at school, at primary school, elementary school, there's a parent organisation. So I was on the parent organisation, and we had a meeting, and I said to them, we need to be doing more in prevention of sexual abuse of children. And everyone got uncomfortable and sort of squirmed in their chairs, and I just kept being put to the bottom of the agenda. So I went home one night and I said to my husband, I'm sick of this. I'm going to write a book that at least someone will take notice of me now if I have something tangible to show them. And so that's when I went home and I wrote Some Secrets, because I am not a survivor of sexual abuse, but all I am is a parent, an educator who believes we need to do more. We weren't doing enough back then, and our children were in danger. So we need to do more. So I thought, what better way than a vehicle like a book, because I am a writer. And so that's how Some Secrets began. And of course, after that, being the educator I am, you need lesson plans. You need to do more with your books than just read it.
Yeah,
and that would be the same with all my books. It's not just a book. It's a whole kind of, you can use it to explore many things, explore many objectives with the children, bring them into the conversation. Books are more than books in an educational setting.
Oh, yeah.
Absolutely.
We could not agree more. In fact, a lot of times, I mean, shocker, right? That we couldn't agree more. A lot of times we'll have people say, well, when should I start talking to my kids about body safety? I was like, as soon as they come out of the womb. They're like, they don't understand. Yeah. I'm like, no, but you're starting to build that like backbone of body safety and consent. And I'm like, there are a lot of books you can read, because everybody starts reading to their little ones like pretty small, right? So like, why would we not utilize that tool to help keep them safe and empower them as well?
That's right. And when they're little, it's simply, and they're not verbal, it's simply about respecting that body boundary, which they do have. And as you interact with their body, not just moving them around, but telling them what you're doing and why you're doing it.
Yes.
Therefore, you're much more of a safe person. So you're saying, oh, I'm just lifting your arm now so I can put you into the car seat, and then that'll keep you safe, because my job is to keep you safe. So you can be just having these conversations with them when they're not even verbal, just so they know they have a body boundary right from birth, as you say. And it's respect for a child, rather than just thinking of a child as somebody small who doesn't have a voice, who does what the big person says. Like, no, step back, show more respect for that child and their autonomy.
Yeah. I think we're going to have a lot of healthy and amazing adults because we've been doing this work with them. And I think, I think this generation, maybe a little bit before we started this, like, the seeds. So I don't think we're as good as we could be. We can definitely still do better, but I think we're going to see the fruits of this labor as our young people get older, just like your daughters, right?
Yeah, definitely. And our teenagers now, we talk all about consent. Boys and girls, or whatever gender, are talking about consent, and they're understanding what consent is, and hopefully we'll have less sexual violence and we'll have more respect. So an empowered child with a voice when they're young is an empowered teenager, is an empowered adult. And what's not to like about that?
Exactly. Yes. Spot on. Do you have, of all of these empowerment-based topics, is there one that you love the most or that you're most passionate about? I feel like it's body safety, but
I started in the area of body safety and consent, and this is where my focus has been. But I do understand that it's all part of the same kind of, it's a bit like really like a Venn diagram that crosses over. So we have gender equality. We know that gender inequality is the basis of family and domestic violence, where one gender thinks they have power over another. So we need to do more in that space. So men and women respect each other as well, or whatever gender you are. There is respect for all genders. Yeah. So that's really important. And then, of course, doing the social emotional intelligence, like the empathy, the kindness, like if empathy is a learnt skill. So if you don't have the empathy, then you will push people around. You will just think you can do whatever you like. But teaching empathy how it might be for someone else in this position is really important as well. And of course, then there is, children are very anxious. They're very, very anxious currently.
With good reason.
With absolutely good reason. So we need to unpack their feelings and allow them to say, I'm really angry, or I'm really, really sad, or I feel angry and sad. And, this is where a lot of problem is with toxic masculinity, that men don't talk about their feelings. It's just bottled up inside and then explodes.
Right.
So from a young age, we would like our kinder kids to say, oh, Billy pushed me off the slide and made me really sad, and I wish he hadn't done that. And now I need to tell him I'm so sad about it. Allow them this voice to express their feelings and help them unpack anxiety. So I have a book called How Big Are Your Worries, Little Bear? So in that book, I actually give them a physical way of showing how worried they are. So a teacher comes out of me all the time.
I love it.
Which makes us so happy.
I mean, it's like, oh, you can say I'm anxious, but maybe they could show, oh, I'm this anxious. I'm this worried. Oh, I'm this worried now. It's all gone away. It gives children a tangible thing to do. So, these are all the spaces I love.
Yeah. Thank you so much for sharing about that one. I'm going to have to get that one for my kids, because I know I've been talking about like pain in terms of like a range of 1 to 10 with my 6-year-old. And so I think that, like, you just said that and it clicked in my head. How angry are you on a scale of 1 to 10? How sad are you? Like, maybe because she can put a number to it.
Yeah, she already uses the scale so well. Yeah,
that would be a really cool tool for her. Oh, my gosh, thank you.
Then your younger one is going to see.
Simple tool, isn't it? But they can show you and they can say, and it just gives them, it's a bit like, why we use storybooks, because if you just sit down with your child and say, oh, I'm going to talk to you about body safety and these are the skills you need, like, they're gone.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
But when they have a book, they are looking at something, they're unpacking what's going on in the picture, they're bringing themselves into it. So it is such a good tool for educators and parents to unpack. That kids need something visual, I think.
Yeah, I mean, adults too.
Yes. Yeah.
To be honest, if you give me a visual, I'm going to understand that a lot better than I would if I didn't have one.
I couldn't believe it when I saw how many books you've authored and that you've, authored and produced films. I was like, oh my gosh, what various like age groups are you mainly focusing on when you are creating these various forms of media?
Definitely from we have the Little Big Chats, so that is from 2 to 6, and I've only just sort of published that in the last 18 months, because I felt many of the books up the back are really for probably even some secrets, 4 through to 11. Now, I'm not a sex educator, and I think that I don't have that crossover. Like, I am a body safety and consent educator, and that's what my books focus on. So if parents are looking at talk to their children about sex and what the acts of sex, you're not going to find that in my book. What you're going to find is, empowerment about their body, calling their private parts by the correct names, all the things we all know we need to do. So when I started to look at, there's one book, that one there, it's a new edition of My Body.
Oh, yes, I literally have it on the table in front of me right now.
Yep. All right, so that book there is probably the book, and one of the questions you had for me was, what book would I want every child to read? Now, that is the book that I would want every child to read. It's not my favorite. Probably Some Secrets is my favorite, or Hope, which is a book for kids in domestic violence.
Oh, wow.
But that book, Hope is beautiful too. But
I haven't seen that one. I'm going to have to look at it.
Yeah, it is definitely, it's about a little boy who lives in a family violence home, and his father is always angry and he blames himself. And then this gorgeous Aunt Edie, comes and she whisks him away, and he meets another person, but he has to go home because often they do. But he has learned so much, and not to blame himself. And
Oh,
So I
we've
did
got to
it with
get
a
that. Yeah.
family
We have
violence
to.
service called Free and another Anglicare Victoria. So they provided the safety plan in the back and the
Oh,
finance
cool.
because we knew that this book would only have a smallish audience, definitely for school counselors and psychologists, but it would have a smaller audience, not so much for all parents. So they help financially with that book, Hope.
Man.
But yes, so that book there, My Body, What I Say Goes, which I do have here, would be the book that I would want every child to be read because it has all the skills,
It
as
does.
you know.
I love it so much. And when we first got it, it was because we were searching for something that would help us talk about the mouth as a private body part. And we're like, oh, we got to get this book. And then I just saw that there was a new cover, like one that had more diversity on the cover. And it's so cool.
Yeah.
Jay, I love it so much.
And I'm just doing this one here for
cool.
First Nations people in Australia.
Oh,
so
yeah.
it's done by an
Neat.
Aboriginal artist.
Oh, that's
so
amazing.
An edition. She's quite an award-winning artist, and so this is an edition for First Nations kids here in Australia.
I noticed when I was going through your website that you do so many translations and culturally, you change little things to adapt to each culture. I think that's just amazing because I know that's going to resonate with those children much more when they're seeing themselves on the cover or in the pages. So
absolutely. I have been big about that for a very long time. In my children's readers that I write for Capstone too, right from the beginning, I want a little girl in a hijab. I want, Black kids. I want Hispanic kids. I want Asian kids. Like, this is the world that we need to be living in. Yeah. Diversity and inclusion is so important.
Yes.
But getting back to age groups, two to six for Little Big Chats. Now, why I wrote those was because you know how in My Body, What I Say Goes, we had the sort of the skills popped along. Sometimes I feel that that's too much for the little ones.
Yeah.
So I've done the books in small snapshots, so 16 pages each, so we can talk about, my safety network today. We can talk about private parts of private.
That's smart. It's easier to grasp the one topic at a time.
Yeah.
For the young ones. Yeah.
Well, their attention span is very small.
They may get through half the book tonight before they're playing with their dinosaurs or whatever. Yeah.
So that's why the one you have on consent for Max is part of the Little Big Chat series.
Yeah, he doesn't know he's going to be getting a new one each holiday and birthday. That's my plan.
Well, in Australia, we sell them as packs. But because we don't have a publisher in the US or the UK, and we do print on demand, we can't sell them in packs. They can only sell them singly. So we are looking for a US or UK publisher, but no luck so far.
Hey, if I stumble upon one, not that I probably will, but if I do, I'll make sure that I talk you up so they know how important your work is and how valuable and that the kids love it. Like, that's the thing that matters so much is the kids like it. And if they don't like it, they're not going to pay attention.
No, so that's right. So,
it's great. We love your work so much. Are there other topics you might want to explore that you haven't yet touched on? I mean, you are so prolific in your writing. Yes. I'm not sure you have time to touch on other topics.
No. I just get ideas and boom, there they go. I do have a new book there called, can you see Included there?
I think I saw on your Facebook you had or Instagram that you had talked about it.
We may even have gotten that recently.
Also in my tracksuit pants today. Right. So this is Included.
Okay.
Now, this is a book for kids about inclusion, diversity, disability, equality, and empathy. And each child has a disability. So we have autism, ADHD, Down syndrome, hearing, limb difference, and what else? And so but this book is actually for all children to help them include all children in their play. So what happened was my daughter, working with kids with disability, would take this little boy to the park and the other kids didn't invite him to play. And that made me really sad.
Yeah, it makes me sad.
It makes me really sad. So I felt we needed a book where we a little bit unpack what their disability is, but basically say they have strengths and they have things they need to work on just like you. And it's as simple as asking this child to play.
Yeah.
So I love that book. That's just new. And then there's this one, Everyone's Invited, which is a bit more of a fun way of looking at inclusion and diversity. It's just a kind of the fun sort of side. Like, there's a lot of
the
rhythm
cover
and
alone,
rhyme.
yeah. The cover is even splashy. Oh, yeah.
It just says, here comes Nessie Naynor from next door, Rita Find, who's very kind, Timbo Tunney, who's very incredibly funny, Lucy Lily, who loves to be silly, Mrs. Screech, my grade 1 teacher, and so many more coming through the door. So it's kind of got that rhythm and rhyme and just a bit of fun, really. Whereas this one is a bit more, I had 8 lesson plans written for that book. So there's a lot in it.
Yeah.
There's a lot in that book. Yeah.
Wow.
Man.
And the other thing is we love to do here, my husband and I, because that's all there is at the moment in this team, is posters, free posters.
I actually, we put together a Google Drive for all the educators in our district, in our area. And I just today downloaded some of those posters and put them in the drive so that they can just have them and print them out in their classrooms, however often they might like, or send them home or whatever they want to do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because the body safety rules poster is in 24 different languages. So imagine if that poster is in the classroom or is in your home, what message does it send to perpetrators, potential perpetrators? These kids are educated to tell.
That's right.
I did not even think about that like just if a potential predator saw the poster, it would be a deterrent. Like I didn't even process that. That is, let's paint it on their bodies, right?
Yes.
So they walk around with the like all of them wearing t-shirts about body safety or something. Hey, maybe that's your next thing.
I tried t-shirts. It didn't work.
It didn't work?
I had children have voices, children have choices.
Cute.
And nobody bought them. And so I'm just about to give a big pile of them to the op shop.
Yeah. Well,
charity shop.
Yeah. No, I figured that was. But hey, those kids who pick them up from the charity shop, they're going to be set.
Them.
Yeah.
That's it. But yeah, that poster is quite powerful in a very simple way.
I love that.
It does say those children are educated to tell. So.
This could be a really good tool for providing the education for our parents and caregivers that's required of like what we have in Illinois and in the States is Aaron's Law, and that's like your body safety, your consent, all of that. And so that could be just like a really good tool. And we could even say, hey, hang it up in your home. You're like, this is going to this is a protective factor.
Yeah.
This is going to help with protecting your kids. And I just think that's so powerful. Thanks for sharing that.
It's very powerful. Yeah.
I'm thinking about some of the things that had been hung up in my home as a childhood that I remember so well. I mean, they weren't like valuable things. They were, little sayings or some cross stitch or whatever that was. But I remember it. It's like burned into my brain.
Visual.
So I suspect that will be the same thing with the posters for kids. So everywhere they're going, this thing they constantly see, they're going to remember it more. It's just a part of their everyday life.
That's right.
And when it's about them and when it's about making them feel bigger and more empowered, then that is powerful. Because when you're a child, you feel small, you feel like you don't have a voice, you have to do what the big person says. But when someone says, here's some empowerment for you, here's some power back to you, you have the right to say no or stop for hugs. This is very, very important to children. We should never underestimate how important it is. And that poster just reminds them, if someone has unpacked it with them, that, you have these rights to say no. And I think, you can put it on your refrigerator, you can put it in behind a toilet door. It really does seem to send a very clear message. And I think a lot of schools who are doing your program, I mean, sometimes what we've done, do you know the organization It's On Us?
Yeah. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Okay. So that we are happy to brand it with them.
Oh,
so
yeah.
if you want to like do the poster and then we put your SafeR journeys down the bottom and your phone number or something, we're happy to brand with you like that. And then you give that to your schools and they put it up in their classroom when you worked with them.
Yeah, that's great. I love when you said bathroom door too. I was thinking they should be on the inside of the bathroom stalls.
Yeah.
And, in the schools, like you have nowhere else to look, right?
Yeah, exactly. But it does have to have been unpacked with the child. I think, after they've done your lesson plans and they've done work in the classroom, it's kind of like a summary of what we've talked about. And
that's a good point.
So, if an incident happens at school where somebody looks under the toilet door at a little girl or something, you can go back to that poster and say, we know about body boundaries. We know that you can't look at people's private parts and this is a private space. So you can kind of revert back to that constantly.
Yeah.
Teachable moments.
There's teachable moments all around us all the time, sometimes more than we can handle at one time. At least for me, I'm just like, what do I address here? Oh my gosh, what's the priority?
But your work is so important. It is so important. Many children lives have been altered for the prevention work you're doing. So great stuff.
Truly, you have provided us with such great tools that it makes our work easier.
It's a combination, isn't it, of everybody working together.
Yep.
Like it's just, this is my skill. My skill is to be able to write and produce books. That's great. But your skills are to be able to present and get out to those children. And that is, so it's kind of like we're all a team working towards keeping children safer. And, I think you've got Erin's Law in the US and Erin does her work as well.
Yes.
So everybody is working together to keep children safer. And I can feel the momentum has grown in the last 10 years, 14 years or whatever.
Definitely.
So this is a really good thing. Even on Instagram, like we do not sell our books through bookshop or big Kmart or something. They think we're too small. So it's only word of mouth really how we sell our books, like Instagram and you guys telling teachers and stuff. But, even on the big sites where people have over 150,000 followers or something, the parenting sites, they're talking about consent all the time now. And that, that means more kids and more parents are getting this education.
Yes.
Yeah, I agree. And that inspires so much hope for the future of the movement to prevent abuse as a whole, and particularly with kids. And the kids
We've had an incident here just recently in Australia. I don't know if you heard about it.
It's
just
possible.
Absolutely horrific. They've been chasing this man for 10 years, I think since 2014. And I won't go into the details, but it is absolutely horrific. He was a childcare worker in 2 of the states, and he had access to many children. And anyways, it has really put it in the spotlight now that childcare centres and schools need to be more accountable, and parents have the right to go to those childcare centres and say, what are your safety policies?
Yes.
Can I look around? Who are you employing? What are their checks? So stand up for children, like go in for them and say, what are you doing? This is really important that children are keeping safe, and make them accountable for who they're employing and what kind of training they're giving those teachers and caregivers.
Yeah, we're very grateful that we have Erin's Law to pretty much force their hands, the schools, to do that. And truly, it's still sometimes not, it's difficult to get them to do it as because they don't have money and they don't have time, which I completely understand. But this is a lifelong lesson, or lifelong lessons they need to have to just be a human being in the world.
Yeah. And this was one of the questions, but as we're talking about, like, some people don't want us to do it, like, and they deem it inappropriate for kids. How we know that we're trying to get around these kinds of things in creative ways. How do you respond to those kinds of comments? Like the teacher that was like, "Oh, get out of my classroom with that book."
Yeah. So I think where I began, if I did a presentation, I began with statistics. Like, I shocked the pants of some of those teachers and with statistics. And it's like, look at your classroom. With those statistics, there is probably 3 girls in your classroom who will be sexually abused before they're 18 and 1 boy. Are you okay with that? And yes, you're very, very busy, and I understand that. But if a child is being sexually abused, they're not going to learn your literacy. They're not going to learn your numeracy, all the other things that you're doing. So I always come in quite hard with the statistics around child sexual abuse and say, try and get them on the team.
Yeah.
You're with these children all the time. They trust you. They rely on you. Come on, let's be the voice for the voiceless. And this education, hopefully they'll never need it. It's like a seatbelt. You hope your child never needs that seatbelt, but it's there just in case. So it's the same thing as the skills that you're giving these children. Hopefully they'll never need it, but it's there just in case. And the only thing that you might be uncomfortable talking about with children is the fact that you have to call the genitals by the correct name. Otherwise, we won't be talking about the actual act of sexual abuse. We'll just be talking about what the private parts are, and no one needs to touch them. So, there is nothing graphic that you need to be scared of. So please put your adult fear away and stand up for the child. It's all your fear, because everything is age appropriate that we're going to be doing. And, I think that you just have to be a little bit tough with them, particularly. And I think statistics really do make everyone nervous,
They make me nervous.
And one thing, go on.
I was just going to say, when I see the numbers, like, I'm like, well, what are we going to do? We got to do something about this. We can't sit on this. So I hope it inspires that in them.
I think sometimes people have taken their eye a little bit off the ball. Like, we know that there is a lot of sexual abuse coming through the internet and grooming of children on the internet. Yes, we know that. But I think the perpetrators are still there. They're still going where children are.
Yes.
They're still going to the sporting groups. They're still going to the childcare centres. They're going where children are. So, have your red flags out. Don't think it's all online, because it's not. They're still there. And while we've been worrying about online, which is still absolutely important, the perpetrators are sneaking back into our lives and grooming us, grooming parents, grooming children. And we know a woman, particularly in a single parent home, that child in that single parent home is 22 times more likely to be sexually abused because, she's busy. This great guy comes in. Yeah. He's always helpful. So I think we need to get back to thinking about who our perpetrators are, where they're going, and, bringing up this wave of like, no, we're going to protect these children.
Yeah.
And getting our educators who have access to children 6 to 8 hours a day to really come on board with us and that, just fire them up.
Yes. Oh, absolutely. Gosh, I have a train the trainer for the educators on Monday, and now I'm all fired up for it. Thank you so much for that. Also, I got goosebumps when you said parents put your fear away.
Your adult fear.
Or grown
I
ups
loved that.
put your adult fear away. Yeah, I loved it
Can we steal that from you? Can we steal that line?
Oh, absolutely.
Thank you.
Like.
Put your adult fear away. Oh my gosh.
I think that is powerful because you're putting a label on it.
Yeah.
You are. You're putting a label on it, and you are thinking, we know as educators that this is age appropriate. There is nothing graphic. I mean, we don't show people, when we do water safety, do we show the people drowning? Do we show them dead on the beach? No. It's the same with, we talk about. So
talk about how not to drown.
Exactly. So all I know is that children who have body safety and consent education are empowered. They have a voice, and they will be that child out in the playground who goes, no, you can't push me off the slide. No, this is my body boundary. You can't come inside my body boundary. Stay away. That's great. That's great. They're going to be a great teenager, aren't they?
Yo,
Oh, you can bet it.
but you're going to feel better as a parent when they're out in the world because you know that they can stand up for themselves. They can say, this is mine. This is not yours. You don't get to do anything that I don't want you to. So I think that's super important. And as a parent, it's a real relief to know your kids are armed with the tools that they need to keep themselves safe, because we can't count on other people to keep them safe.
That's right. And also I get a lot of questions about grandparents, probably my age, who, I just want to hug that child. It's my right to hug that child. We know that sends a very clear message that, just do what the big person says.
Yeah.
So I always say, it's not about you. So, no, you can't hug my child.
Yeah.
Because this is about my child. This is not about you and your needs for a hug. It's about my child saying that they have a choice. And wouldn't you rather have a child go, oh, I would love to hug you, Granny, than a child going, no, I don't want to hug. It would be so much nicer if it was given, not stolen.
Oh.
So,
given, not stolen.
Melissa's writing it down. That's amazing. So I know I don't want to keep you a whole lot longer. Is there anything else you wanted to share before we get off?
Just one more thing.
Yes, please.
It's about, I'm really concerned about children with disability.
Yeah.
Okay, so they're 2.2 times more likely to be sexually abused. So I want special schools, I want parents of children with disability to ensure that the caregivers have been trained in body safety and consent and the language of body safety and consent, so their child knows what to expect. So it's important that the children have the education, of course, but some of them are not verbal, but of course they get the education. But how can they, as a vulnerable disabled child, say, you have to ask me, or they can, but sometimes it's hard.
Yeah.
So they need to know to expect that the caregiver says, may I lift your leg? Are you comfortable with that now? And always constantly checking in. Is that okay? Can I do that? Are you feeling okay about that? And I think that is a big loophole. I think children with disability and the caregivers who come to work with children with disability, they are our most vulnerable. Where do perpetrators go? So ensure when you employ a caregiver that they know you teach body safety and consent, and this is the expectation you have of them around your child. And that medical professionals, doctors, nurses, and dentists ask your child for consent before they enter their body's boundary. I think that kids with disability are often moved around, pushed around by medical folk. Consent must be at the forefront. And in fact, I've just finished a manuscript that will be specifically for children with disability.
Yay.
It's an adaptation of my body. What I say goes, 7 rules. It's 7 rules. And that will be more for, not just for the child, but more to give to a caregiver and say,
Good.
this is my child's 7 rules here.
Yeah.
This is the rules we live by. Read this book. And then that's what my expectation of you is.
That's really neat to be able to share that with the medical professional, to share that with like anybody involved in that child's life. And then that can be part of the advocacy and the education they provide.
Right.
Well, it's like,
That's
this is how
right.
we interact with my child.
Yeah. So these are our rules.
I'm very excited for that to come out so that we can take it to our classrooms, our resource rooms, our special education classrooms, our life skills, whatever it might be, and make sure we're getting that information out. And when we talk to parents and caregivers, I think we can promise that, right? That we'll make sure we make some statement about that with our kids with disabilities.
Absolutely.
Yeah, absolutely. Because I think this is a massive, I know it's a massive loophole in Australia, because we have child safety standards, right? And this is great. If there are 11 child safety standards that everyone has to abide by. But when you employ a caregiver for a child with a disability, they need a police check and they need a working with children's check. But they don't need to do any training around the child safety standards, and they don't need to do any training in body safety and consent. So I could have a neighbor who's a really nice guy. He seems really kind. He loves my kids. He gets a police check. He gets a working with children's check. He can become my children's caregiver.
Yeah.
So this is a massive loophole, and I expect you probably have that in the States as well.
I honestly don't even know what our mandates are, which now makes me want to go, like now as soon as we're done, I'm like looking that up because I think that's really important for us to talk about as well. And I am so grateful that you brought that up today. And hopefully, hopefully other teachers can hear this.
I can show you a sketch.
Oh, please. Sneak peek.
It's going to be a sort of a gender neutral child, but it will be a Hispanic child in a wheelchair.
Great.
And same illustrator as this, so we kind of tie it together.
Oh, perfect.
Very
illustrator,
nice.
But but probably called My Body, My Rules or something like that. So that'll be out next year. But I feel I used to feel a bit like a fraud when people say, oh, can you use that book with kids with disability? I'm like, yeah, absolutely. And then I started to think, actually, the rules are a little bit different.
Yeah.
So that's when I decided, okay, we're going to do a book in this space.
That's social justice.
Yes.
That's amazing.
Indeed.
We are so grateful that you made the time for us this morning for you.
Of course.
Yeah. So thank you, Melissa. I don't want to take over saying goodbye.
No, I just want to make sure I say it's been an absolute pleasure to meet you, and thank you so much for the time and for answering our questions and inspiring us. This was lovely.
Great. Well, look, it was lovely to meet you both. Hopefully, we'll keep meeting on Instagram.
Oh, we will.
Yes,
we absolutely will.
Thank you so much for your work. It's so important. I am incredibly grateful for the work that you do. So thank you.
That's very kind. Thanks, Jay. Have a good day. Yes. Enjoy the winter.
Bye, Jay.
Cheers.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Well, we are so grateful to Jay for interviewing with us, and that was incredible.
That was like the easiest interview, too. Jay is just so well spoken.
Yes.
We should have just let her speak the whole time.
just let her
just do your thing.
Yeah,
we're here.
Yeah, exactly. So we are just so grateful that she was willing to come on the podcast. We're just such huge fans. I think we fangirled a bit.
I hope we weren't too big fangirls, but I think it's hard to ignore how much we adore her work.
Oh,
and
absolutely.
Now her, like not just her work, but her.
Yeah, she's a lovely person.
Isn't she?
Yeah.
I know.
And just seeing her as a mom of grown girls, I was just so inspired. I'm like, oh,
yeah.
Look at
She told us a
you.
little before we started recording about her, Ray, it was before we started recording, just a little bit about her adult children. It's like, clearly, you are their mother because they sound like such amazing, lovely human beings doing powerful work just like she is.
Yeah. I love that it's like a
family business.
Yeah.
And what a good family business, right?
Yes.
I know. And we got a little sneak peek of a body safety book made just for kids with disabilities that she's working on now. We can't wait. Of course, we will be purchasing that and distributing what we can.
And really trying to get it into the hands of caregivers so that they can advocate for their child and amongst like the caregiver team, whether that's the medical professional or let's say the when the kids gets older, they'd be able to have those rules in mind as they're entering into maybe a group home if that's where they're headed.
Yeah, because we work with adults with some disabilities and had maybe some of them had this kind of education as a young person, I think it might have made their journey a little bit easier.
Yes.
Yeah.
And the sex education that they're now receiving, which is mandated with these safety rules in place, these people with disabilities would already kind of have those boundaries in
Sure.
place,
Yep.
right?
Yep.
This structure, if you will.
Yeah. And like, it's the same with any young people, but they, like Jayneen was saying, or Jayneen, excuse me.
Oh, yes.
Like she was saying, it has to be tweaked a little bit for our young people who have, maybe they're nonverbal or they need help bathing or, you know, those kinds of things. So I'm really, really grateful and appreciative that she saw that and is like, well, guess we have to do another book.
I love that
I know.
about her. She's such an educator.
Gosh, and and you can see it and hear it.
Yes.
And you can see her light up a little bit too when she
Yes.
starts. And it's like, yep, I know that feeling. And she's passionate and it is amazing. We're so grateful to have had her.
Yes.
So, of course, we have to tell you to check out her books. It would be so crazy and silly if we didn't. So, I know I've purchased some of her books on Amazon. They're definitely available there. The website I like a lot, and that's Educate to Empower is the website, and it's e2epublishing.info. And we'll have the link in the show notes as well. But there's a lot of additional resources like the posters that we talked about today. Those are available. The lesson plans, those are available. And then all the books as well.
Right,
So.
right. Which is so exciting, like with the lesson plans and the books. And like she just made it so accessible and like easy to provide
Yes.
those important lessons to not only your kids at home, but in the classrooms
Yeah,
too.
it's clear
Love
she was
it.
a classroom teacher.
Yes.
Because she's like, we're going to have a lesson plan. I need discussion questions. And it's just like, but this is why these books are so beneficial and so
Yes.
powerful. I mean, of course, the content of the book, but the support that goes with it, I think is makes it even more powerful.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It does. So we are so grateful for you tuning in today. Thank you so much for listening to SafeR Journeys podcast. And we are going to come back to you in season 2, which we're so excited about when we're diligently getting ready for it. So keep on listening to hear about support resources and how to contact us.
Look out for new podcasts every other Monday on anywhere that you can find your podcasts. Spotify, Apple, Stitcher, Anchor FM, you name it. We're there. If you have any questions, and we would love to hear from you, you can email us at saferjourneyspod@safejourneysillinois.org. You can also message us on social media. We have a Facebook and an Instagram that you can find us at. And let's talk about some resources for anyone who's experiencing abuse. If you happen to live in and around LaSalle or Livingston County in Illinois, please feel free to call Safe Journeys support line at 815-673-1555. 24/7, confidential, services are free. If you don't happen to be in our area, there are 2 national hotlines that you can call for support. For sexual violence, you can call RAIN with 2 N's. That's the National Sexual Violence Hotline. Their phone number is 800-656-HOPE. They also have a live chat on their website if you're interested. And for domestic violence or intimate partner abuse, you can call the hotline, which is simply thehotline.org. And this is our national domestic violence hotline. And you can give them a call at 800-799-SAFE or chat live on the website. Thanks for listening.